but this isn't a Call of Duty. I mean, their lore budget is more than what we raised, right? So
their lore budget,
but it'll take. Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's JP. Welcome to yet another episode of Web3 TEA. I'm joined today by my faithful compatriot Matt Bartlett, and we also have Boomer from LifeForce Games. LifeForce Games is a blockchain game development studio that's developing and building game experiences that are actually fun to play, which is a little bit different than a lot of the blockchain games that are out there right now. These games are what I kind of think of as game first, crypto second, which means you don't need to necessarily have a crypto wallet, buy and trade crypto to get into the game. And that's a differentiator right now. And I think a number of different projects are out there doing that right now. And as usual, this guest comes to us courtesy of Matt Bartlett's deep Rolodex. So I want to, again, thank you for being not only a great co-host, but also a great producer. And then the last thing I'll say before we introduce our guest Boomer is that the LFG's founders have a deep metaverse development experience, which is interesting considering how new the metaverse is. And so, this team seems to be doing something great and then moving on and building something early. So I think we're early is a theme of this episode, and I'm happy to get into that. And Boomer, welcome to the show.
Hey, I mean, that was perfect. I think we're done. You made me sound way cooler than I'm ever going to be. I mean, I'll keep going, but it's going to turn into not as cool as that intro. So I appreciate it.
So Boomer, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and, what you're working on?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate being on and chatting and nerding out on all things gaming today. So just real short background. I've exited 3 companies now. The most recent one that you were just referencing was LandVault. That was the largest independent third-party metaverse developer. We scaled a team in about a year. We discovered that there's a lot of things that people still want that are not available with the tool sets that are there. And also just fundamentally having to, hire someone to develop a fun game shouldn't always just be that only option. And so we raised some funds and launched LFG early January of 2022. And 7 months kind of underground, just building all the framework and infrastructure. We kind of resurfaced around July or August and started to let people know a little bit about what we're building. And in short, that's a game generator. It's a no-code drag and drop. It lets anyone who, again, doesn't need to know how to code, doesn't need to know how to use Maya or Blender, build their own games. And I'm not talking like arcade games. I'm talking Team Deathmatch, and I'm talking Tower Defense or Capture the Flag or King of the Hill. Some real quality games that you would be proud of. And we knew that in order to launch a successful platform, we'd have to show people what games could look like on the platform. And so we launched 2 games, which the community has named because we're really big into community. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But Spark Defense, which is our spin of like MOBA meets Tower Defense. And the community named our first shooter game called Forge Horizon. Tower Defense has already been in pre-alpha, and the shooter game will come towards the end of January in its pre-alpha. So building quite a bit in the last year.
So what I'm hearing is it's a game studio where you're going to be able to build games. You got a development team building awesome games, and then it's going to empower individual people to make their own games, right? And I think there's plenty of people out there. I mean, look, we talked to 2 different groups of people. I consider we talked to the NFT and gamer freak shows like myself, and then you kind of try to bring in somebody who doesn't know as much about it. And so when you say that for the people who don't much about it, I mean, the idea of a normal person, not a video game coder, building a fully functioning game might seem a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, Roblox is already doing that and Minecraft is already doing that, right? So
on both of those, you still need to know how to code a little bit though.
On the Roblox and the Minecraft, you still need to do a little bit. So you're making it easier and more simple than those 2.
Yep. When you join, you don't have to have a crypto wallet. You don't have to buy a token. You don't have to buy an avatar, right? We want to make this free and open for everyone to be creative and be able to play games in an indie environment. Obviously, there is a paid version that you can have more features and things like that, but we want everyone to be able to create really amazing games or to play other people's amazing games without having to have the normal crypto barriers to entry, MetaMask and tokens and avatars and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And maybe just to expand on that, we recently just built a virtual world using the Portals NFT project on Solana. And I don't code myself, so it had the drag and drop tools. But to make things like stairs, I had to, shape blocks and duplicate the blocks. And so I'm wondering, what is sort of the level of how you can iterate within the game? Like, is it changing color, sizes, maybe a little bit more on that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we'll have a ton of different assets. So instead of you dropping blocks and having to kind of spend probably 20 minutes trying to figure out how to do stairs, we just have stairs available for you that you can use, and you'll be able to go in the filter and say, hey, I need a barn, I need a statue, I need stairs, and the assets that we've populated on the platform to start will be there for everyone to create, and then we're going to continually add more assets to the platform as it grows and matures.
You said something that piqued my interest. So free to play has gotten huge in the last couple of years, right? Where you don't have the old video game models. You go to Toys R Us, you buy the Mario Kart, you go home, you play it. It's a one-time deal. Now it's free to play, where you come in for free and then you kind of buy as you go if you want. Is that what you're envisioning, a free to play model for your development, or is it going to be paid?
So it'll be free to play. We want no barrier to entry. We want crypto to be completely behind the scenes. If you know that you're interacting with the blockchain, like we're doing it wrong, is the way our thought process is. Obviously, if you want to buy something and pay an ETH, like heads up, you're interacting with the blockchain. You already had to get ETH, so that's really more of the Web3 native. We'll have credit card option for that. It's a wallet that literally is, you sign up with your email, a password, you choose your gamer tag, and your wallet's spun up behind the scenes. So it's very crypto is really secondary to this in the fact that like the average person won't have to go get a MetaMask and do that. But there is self-custodied option where you can link your MetaMask, and we can go kind of in the deep end here. I'll sprinkle in really quick. As a creator, say Matt's creating and he goes, if you've got one of our VanEck NFTs, hey, you can do your sniper rifle turns into a musket, as an example, because if you've linked your MetaMask to LFG, then we would be able to read the metadata of that. And that can be done at a creator level. So your level could be different than his, just even that one change with any, potential partner project.
That sounded like alpha to me. Is that what's going to go down?
That is going down. Let's do it. I would love it.
Let's get into that right now, Matt. I know you want to.
Oh, sure. Well, for those that read our Blubber Notes alpha newsletter this past Monday, or it should be a couple Mondays ago at this point when you see the video, LifeForce Games collabed with us and basically allowed to where if you sign up for a gamer tag, you can get an exclusive VanEck avatar trait, which is pretty cool. So that's geared towards members of our NFT community, which we're really appreciative of. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Yeah, we've been trying to do a couple of these. I mean, we've had a couple of false starts over the last, we've been doing this NFT thing for like a year. So yeah, we do appreciate, making that happen. That's awesome.
Let's go really quick further into that, because I think that might be like whip-de-doo, like that's an avatar. Everything we're doing is interoperable between everyone's games. So if you have, let's say we make a chess piece for VanEck, and that's what you get airdropped. You can use that chess piece in, I think, 3 different ways. One is you could just go sell it, right? It's an NFT, it's a trait. You can do whatever you want. So your asset, we airdrop it, you can sell it. 2, you can just equip it because you think it's badass and you want to run around, and play everyone's different games as that is your avatar and wearing that. Or 3, if you're a creator and you have different achievements and you want to entice people to your game, you can actually link that to an achievement. Hey, kill 1,000 enemies with, an AK-47, or kill, do 1 million damage in my tower defense game, whatever it is that you've created. And if someone does that, the achievement goes off, they get deposited the NFT as their reward. So there's several different things you can do even with that. It's not just I got this, let me go dump it on OpenSea.
So just that whole idea where you just list out 3 different ways, essentially utilities or things that you can do, as an owner of a digital item, right? And I feel like there's such this tension right now between Web2 communities and then Web3 envelope pushers, right? And you see it with Reddit, and you see it with gamers, who are like cryptos are scam, NFTs are scam. I don't want that, like all the pushback. And to me, as somebody who kind of straddles both worlds, I just think it's such a no brainer. If I've spent over the last 3 years, $150, $200 on all my Call of Duty, seasons that have come out, and they're just sitting in Call of Duty. And the idea that I could potentially sell them or get some money back or take them to the new Call of Duty or all these different things I could do with them because I'm the owner and it's interoperable. It just makes complete sense to me. So I guess my question is, how do we square that circle? Like, when does that bridge get crossed, and what's it going to take, and what is it? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think most people who hate NFTs right now, justifiably, can hate them because a lot of, scammers, a lot of things that we've seen. I mean, look at, FTX, look at, Celsius and all this. I mean, those people, they preyed on, not true Web3 crypto native people. That was people that want to invest in crypto and maybe get a little yield. And for that, they basically got burned big time and lost lots and lots of money. So I could see just blanketing saying crypto sucks, NFTs suck, I'm out of here. So as a community of Web3, like we need to continue to educate people on not everyone is a bad actor out there. In terms of gaming, we took, and not we like as LFG, but just we as, Web3 game studios, I think, took the exact polar opposite of Web2 and said, okay, well, Web2, it's this closed ecosystem and we're going to sell you a bunch of crap and enjoy, but you can't move it. You don't own it. In fact, I can delete it and you can't do anything about it. And said, oh, well, let's go over to the other side and say, you have to buy this token and you have full ownership and you get all these things, but pay us $10,000 for this piece of land or and just went off the deep end on the other side. And everyone's like, I'm not doing that. I'm already getting hosed over here in Web2 for $20 every time and I can't do it. The bridge should have been, hey, those cosmetics you're buying for $5, $10, $15, you now own those. We can't do anything to take them back from you. You now own those. That alone, sadly, would have been revolutionary. But instead, a lot of studios took it of like, hold my beer, Web2, and they went off the deep end. And so at LFG, we're kind of trying to right the ship a bit and say, we don't want you to spend a ton of money. We're not selling land. We're not doing any of the other gimmicky stuff. We don't have a token, right? You don't need to buy our avatar to get in. Come play. See what we're about, right? We're taking the Web2 model of like, come in, see what we're going, see what we're doing. If you like the game, you're going to spend money because you're entertained. And from a creator side, we want to give tools for people to create really cool stuff. And then on the other side, be able to monetize their time if they choose. So every creator has their own ecosystem, their own achievements, their own way to monetize through supporter packs. They'll have their own creations, their own levels. Lots of cool things are coming on the creator side to let people continue to create and build cool stuff.
Now, do you think that what Reddit did was, and they did their NFT platform or project where you can buy your avatars in the press release and everything? NFT was never mentioned. Crypto wasn't really mentioned. Do you think that's what's going to take for game? And that's kind of, it seems like kind of what you're doing, where it's like you sign up for a gamer tag, there's a wallet spun off on the back end, but you don't really know about it or get notified about that. It just exists as under the hood.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have to scream that it's an NFT and what kind of technology you're using, like you're doing it wrong. Like we're all three talking right here. I didn't ask you when we got on, like, hey, who's your internet provider? What kind of computer are you on? I don't care. Did it work? Yes, we're good. Right. And that's how blockchain should be. And the technology on chain, right? The NFTs, you shouldn't have to be completely versed in all these things and know solidity and all that to feel comfortable interacting with a link. It's absurd that we're at that point. So the UI, the infrastructure, like is getting built, but it's still rough, very, very rough. And if we want to onboard millions of people, like what Reddit did was, I think, a great first start at that. It went from people spewing hatred of NFTs to being super stoked that they own a Reddit digital asset.
What's your strategy for bringing in people to your ecosystem? I mean, are you focused on crypto people? Or are you focused on Robloxers? Are you focused on the middle, both at the same time? Like, can you talk about that at all?
Yeah. So right now we have our application into Steam because we have no crypto component whatsoever. Like we can utilize Steam as a marketing engine. So Both of our games will be up on Steam. We're looking at, actually doing traditional advertising, talking with companies like Reddit and figuring out how we do different takeovers and different things to get into people. We're talking to different streamers. We're going more the traditional route. We want to increase the player size and the player pool. Competing with 50,000 crypto wallets that are interested in gaming is not very appealing to us. We want a much bigger crowd. And for that, it's one reason we don't have land for sale for a ton of money, or, we're not launching the token, and having to gate that and come up with gimmicks around staking and different rewards. Like, that's just not our jam, right? What we want to do is we want to onboard a ton of people. I think not just LFG, gaming in general is what's going to onboard the masses. It's not DeFi. It just isn't. That we've proven that, I think, for several years now. But it's kind of gaming's turn to shine. And I think more people that adopt this, hey, just come in, use an email, have a custodial wallet. If you want self-custody, we'll help teach you about that, right? We will encourage that, but it's not for everyone, right? We're in a society that they're used to getting a 2-hour delivery on Amazon with a one-click purchase. Think of how many steps it would take to load up a Coinbase account and get KYC'd and add ETH, then move ETH, then buy our token, buy our avatar, be comfortable enough to then log in. That's a lot of steps. We need email, password, name, go play.
So there was a project that minted recently called Cellmates. Early on, to get on the allow list, they had a game built on Unity. It was like a bank robber running away from a policeman, or vice versa. And it was fun. I played it several times, trying to get my score up high enough so that I can get on the allow list, and I was like, I'd love to be able to make something like this. So I saw it as a creator, head of a community, to hey, this could be fun and engaging for our folks. But if for the scenario where I create a game and JP creates a game, are we earning anything if people are playing, if they play more of my game versus his? What I guess, what is the incentive to build the games?
Well, this is getting competitive now. You just want to beat JP, huh?
We're very competitive here.
So there's a couple of things. So one is, if someone's playing your game and they make a purchase, say they buy an LFG supporter pack, or they buy in beta we'll have a battle pass system, right? They buy a battle pass, but your game was what kept them in the system. Your game is what was getting them engaged. From your game, they made that purchase. We're looking at kind of that affiliate link, the affiliate revenue share for that purchase. So even if you weren't monetizing any other way, you're going to be rewarded for the creation. If you're a premium creator, and we'll have two different kind of ways that people can participate in more the premium creation. Example, instead of one achievement that you're allowed to have in the free-to-play model, you can have dozens of achievements or hundreds of achievements. We don't want to gate all functionality. We're just going to gate a lot of the quantity of what you can do. But there'll also be a system-wide supporter pack that's going to go out, and people can come purchase those supporter packs in your game. Even though LFG is producing them, we're pushing those out. It's another way to technically monetize. If you're playing other people's games, you can bring those assets back, link those to achievements like we were talking about earlier, right? To continue to entice people to play. If you create a bunch of levels and you're a fantastic builder and you launch your own battle pass system, people will probably want to buy that to support you. If you want to build subscriber only levels, we'll have subscriptions, kind of like Twitch. We'll have tipping like gems on Twitch. You'll be able to tip in the game, and they'll be using our in-game kind of LFG premium currency to do that, to which you can go buy more things to make your games better, or more cosmetics to add into your achievements, or you can exit it out to ETH, right? Or however you'd like to exit. So there's a lot of different ways that people can create. Think of every creator has their own ecosystem, and it's a little fiefdom, and you get to do whatever you want in that. If you want to say, hey, if you had that Van Eck NFT, you run 20% faster. To me, I don't like that, because that feels very pay to win. Oh, let me go buy this NFT and I'm going to go stomp everyone. But you're the creator. You can do whatever you want in that scenario. And for the best creators, even if it's completely free, we're going to tie them into our battle pass to give them promotion and visibility and let more people play those games, because we want to reward the people, not that paid the most. We want to reward the people that kicked ass and made the best games.
So the way I see this, and so we talk to other game, projects and stuff, is that if the goal is Ready Player One, where everything's interoperable and you take your avatar from the shopping mall to the movie theater to the game to the park, it really is interoperable between all these different ecosystems. And now we have Fortnite as a silo, Call of Duty as a silo, blah, 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 everything's siloed. I feel like what you're doing is building the step between Ready Player One and what we have now, right? Where you're going to have different ecosystems that are all interoperable within your kind of platform. And I guess my question is, when does that next step happen? Is that 10 years out when everything's interoperable, or is that 30 years out?
So I think Matt's pretty familiar with the Fluff ecosystem and what they're building with their root network. I think that technology and infrastructure is critical, and why I'm such a huge fan of what they're building. And as more games can plug into what that is, I think that would be the bigger social component and gaming component that is needed. We're not building and touching any infrastructure at LFG. We're not focusing on any of the social components. We're not building any of the communication tools in a decentralized manner. We're going to use those tools, but we're not building those. We're building gaming specific activations and environments for people. So in terms of your question, I would say we occupy one slice of that pie to get us closer to Ready Player One kind of status. We're not building. I mean, we didn't raise enough money, and we don't have the technical chops to spin up our own blockchains and all the crazy stuff that needs to occur in that manner. But for gaming, we want to take the concept of the interoperability and being able to create, but putting it into players or small indie devs' hands in order to continue to create massive amount of games and provide that. There's so many things that people have created mods for, right? And then they end up taking off and going crazy. And that's where we want to have people be able to create really fun things and then be able to monetize it, but, have full control over what, is happening in their game.
I have to ask. First of all, I'm pretty sure you have to be, if not the holder of the most fluffs, you got to be up there. Are you the top holder of unique fluffs?
One of the top, probably two.
Where does the conviction come from? That's an investment.
Yeah, basically the team's been building since 2016, 2017, 2018, depending on which entity you're looking at. They're building all the tooling and infrastructure. I look at it kind of like the gold rush back in the day. Like the ones mining the gold weren't the ones that made the money. It was the pick and shovel. And that's what they're building. They're building all the really boring infrastructure needed in order to bring truly all of it together, is the way I kind of piece it in. They obviously have their own ecosystem, and they're going to come out with a bunch of other cool stuff. So I'm not saying everything they do is boring, but what is critical for the space and how we talked about like mass adoption was that infrastructure, and that's what's missing. And I believe that's what they're building. So for me, I get really excited on the really boring pick and shovel type plays. And so that's where, I'd like to throw capital at, and then on the professional development side, to all of us at LFG, like that stuff's not very fun to build, but all the gaming stuff is really fun to build. And that's where our entire team is coming from, Warhammer and Amazon Games and Sony PlayStation and, all sorts of, Zynga, all sorts of amazing places. All they've done their entire career is build fun games. And I'm not, poking fun at them, but like probably half my team doesn't know what a CryptoPunk is, right? Like they're true Web2 developers and Web2 artists and like amazing people. And our team is really small. There's only 13 of us, but we're pumping out 2 games in a generator, where most Web3 games, can show you barely, the alpha of a lobby after a year and raising $80 million in NFT sales. Like it's kind of absurd where we're at in Web2. So, where I'm saying, people don't like NFTs, it's because they haven't shown any of the value. It's been all hype and FOMO and promise. We haven't sold a single thing. Like we will, right? Otherwise we'd go out of business and it wouldn't be very good. But we wanted to build first. We wanted to show what's possible, a real studio building something. So very different things, but the conviction comes from they're building all this infrastructure and they've been doing it. And there's 11 companies that they're all tied with, and they're all kind of focusing on something different that is needed to build out that entire tech layer.
Fair warning, I am a small fluff holder, so I was just looking to squeeze out an endorsement from Boomer.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I think I'm up to 128 fluffs, so I'm pretty pumped on the ecosystem.
Did you buy them all at once? Or are you dollar cost averaging into that one?
So I got introduced to them about a month after they minted and bought a few then. And then I bought a few maybe like 6-7 months ago as kind of things started to get cheaper and the whole kind of system was coming down. And then they got so cheap at a USD level that I just aped in pretty hard.
What's your timeline on true Web3 adoption? Not to where it's everybody's using it, all the games are Web3, but when is Web3 gonna have its Fortnite moment, right? 2017 was the year of Fortnite. When is that gonna happen for the Web3 gaming ecosystem?
Probably next bull run. And if you know when that is, let me know, please.
Okay. Next bull run.
Probably next bull run. It'll take, again, a lot of that tech foundation to be in place where it's simple, right? Email, password, let me in and let me go play. It'll probably something that is got a massive budget, some AAA production. And I think it's an important thing to kind of distinct, like what we're building is not AAA. We're really in this like mid-market area where we're going to look and feel a whole lot better in Roblox, but this is not Call of Duty. Like there's a nice middle ground that I think is going to be really fun for people. It's not, and again, it's not casual games that we're building. This isn't like, I'm sitting there for 5 minutes. Let me just plug in and play. Like we do want people to play and engage and have fun, but this isn't a Call of Duty. I mean, they're like lore budget is more than what we raised. Right. So
their lore budget,
but it'll take, yeah, but it'll take, a company like, I actually think one company that, could make a real big difference is 12 a.m. Midnight Society, Dr. Disrespect's game, right? Everyone's all about Bored Apes. Obviously, I minted it. I love apes. I'm a huge fan, but like Dr. Disrespect has 4x the following of any Yuga asset combined, right? And it's all gaming, and he's building his version of that, and he's raised a lot of money. So he has all the marketing, which is usually the hardest. So I actually think that's one of the studios to watch and see how Web3 adoption occurred there and what they can do. I think a lot of pressures on that, to be honest, because it's a massive community of gamers that if they get in, they're going to be excited and then they're going to keep looking.
I love Doc. And I think, I've seen some of the previews of the games and it's testing stuff still, and I think a lot of people don't realize how long it takes to make a game, right? Like, and I'm not a game developer, but like it takes years, right?
Oh, years. It takes years, but they're doing it different. And I think we are going further than that, right? They're involving the community. They're opening up different play tests and trialing different things. Like we have weekly voting. We let people, little things like avatars and traits and how we monetize up to like naming our games. So we're very community focused. And again, it's like no purchase necessary, but for them, they've opened up the doors more than any real Web2 developer has. It says, come play, come hang out, come see what it is. And they're using that for feedback and testing and bug testing, all that. So I think it's awesome. I'm really excited to see what they do. That is a massive marketing funnel dropped on top of what is trying to be built as a AAA game. And I think that is what the space needs to kind of have that Fortnite moment. And maybe it's not Doc and it's someone else, but like that's got the recipe of it could be something pretty massive.
Super appreciative that you joined the show. I'm already looking forward to, enjoying the platform. I mean, I'd love to have you back in a year from now where you've got games that have been made by community members. Maybe we could feature some of them just to see what people come up with. I'd be super interested in that.
I think each of you need to build a game at that point, and then we'll be the judge live and see what it is.
I'm in. Lock us in.
That sounds fun. Do a game off between me and Bartlett.
Yeah. So by the time that this goes live, our tournament will have already come and gone. But the next thing out will be our shooter game pre-alpha. And that again is 100% of what you could build in the generator. So that'll be fun. And then the avatar builder And also when they get dropped that really nice Vanek avatar trait, that'll be like early February.
That's sick. That's really sick. We really appreciate you, Boomer. Thanks for coming on the show, Matt Bartlett. Thanks for being a special friend, my very special friend.
Very welcome.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Take it easy. Thanks for playing. Have a good one.